Alright, well, welcome to another night of streaming painting, or Adam battles his really crappy internet. I'm really hopeful that it'll hold up tonight. I've played around with infrastructure and got a mobile phone with a SIM card in it, and that should stream okay for at least hopefully the next half an hour. If you can hear stuff in the background, it's probably the TV because I've got the election coverage on. It's about the one time of the year that I actually pay attention to what's going on in politics, because it's like a giant sideshow and massively fascinating. But while that's happening, we're going to do something a little bit more interesting, like, say for example, painting some Shadespire miniatures. And I have finished finally Magor, so his armour's on. You can see there that he's all painted. Going for a nice red colour with some gold trim, as per the request of my son, who I'm painting it up for. Doesn't quite show the highlighting there. I did get that one little skull on the back of his head, and that's all done. And his axe, kind of going for a nice bony looking thing. So, because I figure corn and bones and skeletons and skulls and things. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but I also attack the base with a bit of typhus corrosion underneath the grey and between the black washes. And I must say I'm a massive convert of the use of typhus corrosion in as many different places as humanly possible. I have just spotted one bit of Magor that I didn't finish, and it's his axe. It's that little band, just that one little band right there, and I didn't get that done. So we will not talk about that and move on. Now, erroneously, silly, mistakenly, I've decided that I'm going to paint my Stormcast Eternals brain fart in a similar paint scheme to what I painted my corn. So my Stormcast Eternals, come on camera, got a nice red armour. I can't remember where I saw it. I probably saw it somewhere else, but it ends up looking something like that once I've finished it. And the cloak is kind of average. I might have to go back and redo that blue cloak. Kind of awful with white as well. But I was experimenting with some stuff, and this was me unfortunately rediscovering my painting muscles. But he's got nice glowy eyes. He's got red armour. He's a bit of a beast on the battlefield. Kind of like playing the I keep going to say Seraphon, the Stormcast Eternals. They're a nice solid force on the battlefield. So to that end, and working on getting more Shadespire stuff done, we're going to attack my hammer wielding Stormcast Eternal, whose name completely escapes me. And to do this, as you can see, is a brown base coat. It's already had one highlight done across it, and it's a mix of these two paints, brown and red, from Warcolours. Now, as I always go on about every time I do this, it's really loud, sorry. I absolutely love the Warcolour stuff, primarily because it comes with a shaker in it, and that means that as you get your paint out, or you can agitate your paint before you distribute it from the bottle, which is just lovely because it makes sure that they're well and truly mixed. Paints around this place tend to sit for a while, and so occasionally they settle a little bit. In fact, okay, let's be honest and call a spade a spade. They settle a lot. But that little agitator, I like to think, really helps mix the paint up to make sure that it's of the best possible consistency it can be. Come up, paint. Should be tons of you left. There we go. I'm a big fan of this red. The red seriously kicks ass. And so that red there. And as with a lot of my stuff, I'll mix as I need it. And in order to achieve this amazing miracle, you can see there a wet palette. I've got 2 drops of paint on there, brown and the red. I'll use the wet palette to mix it up as I need it, but also to the right colour and the right consistency, which is always quite cool. If you haven't got one, this is, well, I've taken it apart for the time being, but it's a simple Tupperware container into which I've dropped a chucks or a Wedex or a wet towel of some description. Oops. And on top of that wet towel, I've just got a bit of greaseproof paper. I did make the mistake of using baking paper once, and there is a big difference between the two. The greaseproof paper has a grease cover or plasticky type cover to it, and that makes the paint sit a lot better and makes it easier to work with and mix, as opposed to baking paper, which absorbs the paint that you put on, especially when it's wet. So my basic process is pretty straightforward, in that I've got probably the first stage of highlights done on the legs there. Trying to get the camera to focus. So it is over a dark brown undercoat, and I've got the first sort of reddy brown mix done. So from here I'm going to take a great big blob of brown paint and add just a little red to it, just to make it angry. And from there I'm going to don my +3 glasses of seeing, because I'm exceptionally old, and as you can see there, I've got really good magnifying glasses. Thankfully I only need this for painting. Oops. And the bell rings. I'm just going to start applying this to the leg greaves. I can be fairly generous with it because it's the first coat of the finished colour, and I'll aim to get lighter as I move up the leg plate. So the washout in the camera is probably not doing me any favours, but you can sort of see there how the colour's applied, and there is a bit of difference there down the bottom where I haven't quite touched it up properly. And because of the particular colours and the mixes that I'm using, I'm only doing it section by section, so I'm aiming to, regrettably, probably spend about most of tonight doing this leg greave before I then move on to the next one. But the good news is that because the wet palette, my paints will stay wet or stay workable for longer. And certainly I've come back to a wet palette a number of days after I finished using it and found that the paints are a little unfriendly, but you could still work with them if you needed to. But the other good thing is it keeps the colour mixes. I have seen a couple of other people do this, and one girl on Twitter, and I wish I could remember who it was, but she was absolutely brilliant. Mostly because she had like a colour swatch and would put then blobs of colour to draw up, effectively a mood board for a miniature. I thought it was really brilliant, because for the number of times that I've been painting, and because there are frequently big lapses in what I paint and when I paint, you come back and sit down and go, how on earth did I paint that colour? And what on earth was I thinking? And then after that, you spend half an hour trying to remember how to mix the right colour up again. And then when you finally do, you find out that it doesn't work the same as what it did originally. So I am kind of, to a lesser extent, wet blending this as I go, which is kind of working one colour into another as you go higher up. This is a totally secret Chinese Shaolin technique taught by venerable monks in isolated monasteries on mountaintops. But really it's more or less just taking the paint that's already there and while it's still wet, working the next layer into it. Now, I'm not convinced this is going to be a crash idea on this miniature. And the water seems to be thinning my paint a little bit more than I would like. But we will persevere. I will ring. God love you in Sydney. Got rid of Tony Abbott. Not that I'm especially, I guess, Labour supporter, but it's hard to support Tony Abbott after all the very dumb shit that he says and does. So, God bless you for winning, whoever won. What was kind of interesting, I think, particularly in his exit speech, was, continue to work and live and do stuff for the people of Warringah. So I guess he can, at the very least, say he's a devoted public servant, but kind of a shit human being. However, we'll see what happens with that. Oh, that's coming off awful. Yike. Okay, so that's going to work really badly. The red in this case, I think, has over-absorbed the water. Instead of working with a wet palette, I think I should have just been working with a normal one. However, lessons learned for later on. Which is a shame because it was working really well before. Oh God, a new beginning for the environment. You're a bit bloody late, love. The environment is, to put not too fine a point on it, proper fucked. So you're kind of wasting your time on that one. And if they really wanted to change, surely they would have done it by now, wouldn't they? Yeah, not working out so well. This one's going to be a bit of a mess. But given it's been about a month and a half since I painted anything seriously, I'm kind of rediscovering my painting muscles again. We're all working to your benefit. What a load of bullshit. God, angry. Oh. Listen, the bloody politicians make me angry. Begs the question why I'm doing this then, but I started to watch Dragon Ball Z from season 1 again. Did not excite me massively. Don't know why. I'm sure you still love it. I remember a time where DBZ was a thing and I was all about it. It may be, don't tell anybody this because I'll call you a liar, may just be that I'm getting old. Shh, don't tell anybody. I certainly won't admit that on camera. Bugger, made a mess of that. Looks kind of average. In fact, that's positively subpar. So, despite what I said, get a bit of brown, just a little bit of red, and move on to the next bit and hope that, painting on a not wet palette, the paint, which seems to be absorbing the water quite significantly, doesn't flow quite as madly as it does. One of the things I'm trying to avoid here, particularly in painting these miniatures, is shades, inks and washes. So I am very laboriously building up all my shadows and my highlights manually, by hand, to push myself a bit. But I can go back and glaze this later with a very thin down paint to join it up. And just fill the edges a bit. I hope to smooth the transition. But on the plus side, some good news out of the day. Collingwood won the football against St Kilda, which always makes me happy. Are there any St Kilda supporters out there? You probably want to leave. Nope, good. You're not a St Kilda supporter, are you? Otherwise I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to leave. Yeah, on paper, this year Collingwood have an amazing roster. And it should do some amazing things. So, come September, when it's grand final time, I'll either be very loud or very quiet. And I'm hoping it'll be very loud. And again, if you're not a Collingwood supporter, you'll just have to put up with me being loud. Because it's my thing and it's what I do. God, 25-year reign of terror. Bloody hell. People in Sydney are mad. Cannot see for shit. Light is important. Push that up that way. Grab a little bit more red paint. Push that up that way. In fact, I'll even pull this one down to try and get it to blend in a bit. So what we've learnt tonight is Collingwood and not Tammany Abbott. It's been a big night. But I guess in the grander scheme of things, the question that we've got to ask ourselves, especially as concerned voters, who's going to win? And all reports so far seem to suggest it's going to be really tight. It's always good to have a tight election, because theoretically it means those bastards will sit and think, I only just got in. As we only just got in, maybe we should do a good thing or two. You know, our jobs. Dickheads. Oh, makes me angry. Okay, I'm retitling this stream. Shit that makes me angry. Dickheads. A lot of paint on there to no real benefit. Bugger. Made a bit of a bodge of that. So I'm just get really generous and maybe even. And a bit more red into that brown to try and get decent coverage. So wet palettes, grouse, like don't get me wrong, this thing has changed my life significantly, which probably says a bit about my life more than anything. But I think from observation, it's situational based on the paint that you're using. Okay. That's a little bit cleaner. A little bit more red. And then I can go with a final highlight with some orange. You know, one of the things I discovered through reading and looking at stuff is one of the Stormcast Eternals is actually a woman. And I think it's Bright Shield from memory. I was oddly surprised by that. The miniature certainly doesn't reflect it as much as you would expect, which is, I think, both a good thing and a bad thing. Because, what was her name? The bird from Game of Thrones. Big bird. Her name was Brienne. When you saw her in her armour, she was... Look, it's good to see that they've actually made practical armour. Let's just go with that. Dig myself out of a hole that I'm rapidly falling into. Because, let's be practical. Some of, historically, the armour that they put women in televisions and I guess movies, and to a greater or lesser extent comic books, is slightly unrealistic. Like, if you want to be a bit of a history well, I guess kind of a mythology nerd, Amazons used to cut off their right breast so that they could draw bows properly. And yet, whenever you saw an Amazon on TV, she had not undergone that surgery. Wonder Woman, I'm looking at you. Though not anything bad against Linda Carter. No, best Wonder Woman ever. Yeah, so representation of women in tabletop war games. It's a thing which is in some places more widely, I guess, celebrated than others. Certainly role-playing games, D&D, it's always been a fairly... look, I'd like to say that I would hope it was a safe place for women to venture. And I know that that's from a white male privilege standpoint. And that has greater or lesser value depending on who you talk to. But painting upside down so you get a different view of the thing. Yeah, so female. These guys, this warband, Stormcast. Sort of cool. I'm not sure if I'd pick her out differently or what I'm going to do about it, but there's definitely a woman there. So a little bit up under his bum. Because we all like to get a little bit touched up under a bum, don't we? There's probably going to be a lot of that. It may or may not, and should probably warn you now, at some point degenerate into dad jokes. So you are duly warned. Damn it. Yeah, that initial paint did not go down well. Because what I could do would be go back to my white palette and mix up the scale of colours and utilise them that way. I can't imagine that would work very well. Oh, Bill's in Melbourne. Bill Shorten's in Melbourne at the Grand Hyatt. With his wife and his close advisors. Because, oh look, I don't know. Just, we voted, count them, tell me who won. That's what I'm interested in. I can get back to my life and just try and stay out of their way and pray they stay out of mine. That's my current political theory, my current political philosophy. It's just stay out of my way, leave me to mine, and I won't bother you. And that should make everybody just that little bit happier. Not going to get bothered by the government. I'm not going to bother the government. I'll be a good citizen and do what I need to do to pay taxes and fund roads. God, I wish they'd put some money into public transport. So I'll do that, which is my, I guess, due as a citizen, as a taxpayer. But more than that, you know what, go and just take a long walk off a short pier. Because I don't want to hear it. Whatever you're going to do probably doesn't benefit me in the grander scheme of things. The things I'm worried about are not the things that you're going to do anything about. So you're just going to tick me off. Now for those watching at some point in the future, especially those who aren't in Australia, we have mandatory voting, which means you either vote or you get a fine. And I think it's probably about the only way you're going to get voter participation, because otherwise you're going to end up with only the people who want things to happen voting, and really end up with the government that we deserve, not the government that we want. So that would be bad news bears in a big way. However, oh, that sounds like Penny Wong on the TV. It is. It's Penny Wong. I hate calling her place. Always get the wrong number. So at some point that one's going to come back and bite me in the ass. So feather that edge in a bit to try and smooth the transition to the brown. Oh, it's time for change. God. Clive Palmer doing his thing. Isn't that dickhead go on? Although, I've got to look, I will applaud Clive Palmer, because if he doesn't win something for the amount of money he's spent on bloody political advertising in the last 5 weeks, good lord. Like here in the middle of bloody nowhere, Melbourne, There was a dirty great big Clive Palmer Party Australia billboard on a road somewhere. It's like, mate, this is not just wow. Leave me alone. Stop coming to the place where I live. Grr. Alright. Migration. God. Kill me. Okay, so beyond wet palettes, what else have I learnt in painting? Not much. But one thing I will suggest, this advice comes for you free before I release my book. No, just kidding. Get one of these duvers. It's an old scissor paint pot. And I'm using it just to blue tack the miniature down. I know GW have got the official grubber one, which looks absolutely brilliant, but I am cheap, and a bloody great big lump of blue tack with a miniature stuck on top of it works pretty damn well, let me tell you right now. But I've just found that the change in the grip that you get on the miniature, it's made a significant difference to the way that you can paint it, the control you get over it. So it's not moving around so much. You don't have to try and hold on to the base. You can just hold on to the paint pot. It seems to be a better grip, and I feel that gives me better control. Dun-dun-dun. And it's kind of all about control, isn't it, kids? Oh my god. Yeah, okay, cool. Need a bit of that. A little touch of that. Mix it up with a little bit more of that red. And go back and redo the next sort of part of the foot. Alright. So for anyone who's watching, we've officially passed the 30-minute mark, and my internet has not shit the bed, unlike pretty well every other time I've been on. So that's something to be happy about. I think I've worked out my internet streaming problems. But then next week, they're coming in to drop an NBN on me. And from everything that I've heard, the National Broadband Network, which incidentally I paid for, and now I get to pay to use, is not going to be the dog's bollocks that they're suggesting it might be. Certainly not what they're pitching it to be. So that's just going to be awesome. Like awesome, great. Yeah, fibre to the node, fibre to the street. Look, we'll show you a fibre cable. Crikey. I said it before, I'll say it again. Dickheads. Why not do something different? Why not do anything different? Why not upgrade the phone infrastructure so it can deal with the amount of data that's going through it? Why not bloody, I don't know, anything? That's really hard to see. We'll just assume the paint's going where it's supposed to go. The prospects of a Labour government are receding. Deal with those minority dickheads. Like, really, when you look at it, our political system's just a joke. It's... I don't even know what to say. If we, you just, yeah. Government's not supposed to be a bloody profit centre. It's supposed to work to our benefit. It's supposed to do what's right by us. It's supposed to work by our mandate. And they bloody well don't. So therefore, it ends up being just a shit fight. Just like, really. Oh, it's, no. Okay, I'm better now. Alright. I'm going to get some this marvellous red orange. And the red orange with the reflection on it. Red orange. If you want to check it out, I've got links to watercolours, paints all over the place. But I'm going to drop some of this on my palette. And give me something else to draw from. For the purposes of mixing up more highlights. Greg Hunt, God, oh jeez, that's no, we're someone else. No, I don't know. So the other thing that we're learning tonight, kiddies, is that Adam doesn't know a lot about politics. He doesn't care a lot about politics. But he also doesn't know a lot about it. I guess I kind of assume that politics happens to other people. I think the first job requirement should be, if you want to be a politician, in order to be a politician, you mustn't want to be one. And we'll get intelligent people in place, doing intelligent things. However, I have approximately 3/8 of bugger all chance of that happening. Probably end up me having to do the job. And that's probably not going to be much better for the country than if the people who do it want to do it. But what I will say is by voting, and regardless of who wins, loses or draws, at least I've voted and I've got a right to whinge about it. And apart from Collingwood, the only other thing that you'll hear me do loudly is whinge. A lot. In fact, just name drop just for a minute. As Jez Goodwin once said, yes, the Jez Goodwin, when I was at the first Australian Games Day and hanging around with him for a while, you could whinge for your country. And at the time, I thought, shut up, you pommy git. But over the years, it turns out he's right. Shouldn't have put the orange down. Bugger. So as an Australian, it's my right to whinge. What am I whinging about? What have you got? Public transport, weather, political, cost of living, good Lord, the list goes on. So, earlier tonight on Twitter, I posted a thing about what I was doing, watching Dragon Ball, watching the Australian political reporting, or painting miniatures, and worrying about my mad cat running around the house. I think the decision that I've come to is a good one, but I think very soon I'll go back and give Dragon Ball Z another chance. Now, I know that there are you out there who are smart enough to be able to paint and watch TV at the same time. Long ago, I came to the realization that I'm not that guy. In fact, I get distracted really easily and end up watching the TV show a lot more than what I paint. The other weekend I had a giant John Wick-a-thon for that very reason. And then I thought, I'll just put on a bit of a no-brainer film, not seen the John Wick films. So nothing that's really going to demand too much attention. So 2 films later, and approximately no painting getting done, I thought, you know what, it's probably about time I didn't do this again. But having said that, those John Wick films are really good. If the Shaw Brothers made action films, it'd be a John Wick film. So awesome. So take that bit under there. Alright, we're chatting on charted territory here. We're 43 minutes in. Now, I'm yet to have an internet crash. I don't quite know what to do. So I'll just keep talking. You keep listening. And we'll pretend that this is the normal state of affairs. Of course, the high-tech solution that I've got streaming through an old POS Alcatel Android phone. Tell you what, when I come up with a high-tech solution, it's high-tech as. But it functions as a hotspot. It's got a prepaid card in it. I don't care about using it as a phone. I only really want the data. And that's what I wanted, and that's what I got. So there's one thing less for me to whinge about. Crap. Oh, jeez. I tell you what, we watched this movie today. Harry Brown, I think was called. Michael Caine film. Relatively recent. Good Lord, depressing or what? Like, I won't spoil it, it was actually an incredibly good movie, but God, I wanted to slip my wrist when I stopped watching it. Glad I've seen it. Won't see it again in a hurry. But gee, it was good. Fair warning, violence, drugs, sex, language. It's got the lot, and sometimes even at the same time. But wow, what a downer of a film. Making a bit of a mess there, so I'll get a big thick line. Wait, too thick. And just clean it up afterwards. I won't tell anybody about that happy little accident. Oh, what else? Oh yeah. Oh, out of the blue. Here's me looking for work. Finally. Thinking there's no way, look, I'm going to have to go back to training. Which in and of itself wasn't such a bad thing. Because I really quite enjoy it. I get an email or get a contact via LinkedIn from a dude from Red Hat about a technology evangelist type role. It was basically a stand up in front of people and talk to them thing. Oh, thank you, bring that on. I'll sign up for that right now. So hopefully I'll hear back about that early next week, because it sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. And anytime I'm allowed to get up and talk to people or at people, it's a good thing. Makes for a happy Adam. And everybody wants a happy Adam because we've seen how much he whinges when he doesn't get his way. Put a nice little line just on the top of that. Okay. Bit of orange around the top. Oh, political wankers. Alright. A bit happy with that. It's fairly smooth. Looks red. Cheers. It's actually coming pretty well. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go back and fix that first bit again. About 7 layers of paint on there, so anyone who watches later on, normally you wouldn't have to do 7 layers of paint. Generally I wouldn't. Isn't it funny? Like, here I am sitting painting really just a toy soldier. The world's going to hell around me. Political change taking place on the TV, which I'm using as background noise, and it is me focusing all my attention just on doing this one thing. I'm not sure what that says about me or what that says about what's going on around me and my ability to deal with it. But there's probably something there. If anyone's got any particular feedback, I welcome comments. Okay, let's leave well enough alone, shall we? This will definitely pass the 3-foot test. But don't look too closely at it. It's kind of the point of the 3-foot test, I guess. Bipartisan, good lord, one. Barry Cassidy, you should know better. Bipartisan, my hairy yellow butt. See, angry. It gets bipartisan support. Wankers! But let's face it, I'm a white male. We'll go with above 30. I'm not really the target demographic for really anything. If I was I'm heterosexual, and if I was still a smoker, gosh, I'd be in a minority. No one wants to hear from me. And I think that if you've been listening to this for any period of time, you'll agree that's a good thing. Hey, actually, I don't think there's anyone watching, so I'm just going to wrap it on. Magic the Gathering. My son plays it, along with Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not sure where I failed as a parent, but anyway, has anyone tried? Is there anyone there? No, there's not. So I'm tipping that sometime in the near future, regardless of what job I actually take, training or otherwise, there's probably going to be a bit of travel involved. Just trying to figure out whether you can play like Magic the Gathering. Obviously there's the online version, but take your deck and sort of play via Skype or something. Be sort of cool. Maybe. One good thing about the watercolour paint, they don't taste bad like the GW ones do. Some of the GW paints taste absolutely awful. Now this shouldn't be a problem to the normal viewer, but to those of us who are of the brush licking ilk, you'll be quite happy to know that they're non-toxic, which is important, but they also don't taste awful. And the political dickhead on the television. You know what? I should have put on Dragon Ball Z and just left that running. At least, I mean, I'm not watching it, but at least the background noise is a little bit less distressing. Dickheads. Right now I figured it out. Do you see, whenever you watch most of these streams, particularly people are painting and stuff, they have music in the background. I was just listening to that momentary pause there, the silence, thinking, oh right, music, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Except I'm not sure what the deal is with music. I could. I've got a heap of it. And whilst my taste in music is, we'll go with questionable at the best of times. The legalities of it are a little bit exciting. Gibson. Where's Gibson? So yes, music would be good. Might do something about that. I'm not going to sing because I think that'd be cruel and unusual. Where's Dixon? Gibson? Good. Oh, that's right. And of course, this year, in the federal election, the Australian population was given the option to pre-vote. Anyway, it's been open for ages. And they had people turn out in droves to vote. Which is kind of funny. But it means that you miss out on your democracy sausage. It's kind of the whole reason to vote. Just go there and get one of those cheap, awful supermarket bought sausages grilled up with onions thrown on them and a bit of dead horse, and you're good to go. But strangely, not at 9 o'clock in the morning. Very disappointed. Looking for a democracy sausage breakfast this morning, and I did not get it. Made me very sad about the whole process, and even more bitter and twisted about the whole election process and our political system, where man can't even get a bloody democracy sausage for breakfast on election day. What are you supposed to do? The start of the day is that go and vote, but no sausage. Ripped off much. However, Bennelong? Oh, that's up in Sydney somewhere. Don't care about that. Place is full of dickheads too. Oh, dickheads everywhere. Two thin coats, people. Two thin coats. Righto, 1 hour in, haven't dropped. Happy. Got a bit of paint on. As much as I like, but it'll do. Just go back and maybe just lighten and darken that edge up a bit. Yeah, that'll do. God, I wish I had someone to talk to. I'm so lonely. But in the absence of someone to talk to, I will talk to myself. And as I say, sometimes it's the only way you can get intelligent conversation. Oops. It's a little bit on the orange side. Let's give that a go. Oh, that is very watery. Very paint. Very watery. So I guess that's one down. Well, actually, no. As I said, it's kind of the good thing about a wet palette, but the downside is sometimes it reacts badly to the paint, as in this case. But it's holding my paint on my palette. It's keeping it alive for longer, so I can just take it off and mix it relatively easily. Take a little orange. The orange that I mixed up before. Yeah, that's working out quite nicely. So for the next stream, remind me, I need to organise some music. This is incredibly boring. But I've made a bit of progress on the legs and the back side, and I deliberately chose the back side because the front side is a little bit more involved. But I'm pretty happy with that progress. Yeah. I'm not. Come here, red. I'll just clean that bit up a bit. Yeah, that's better. Liberal first preference vote. Good Lord, Australia, what the hell? Vote for the party you want to win. It doesn't seem much harder than that. But no, we can do all this preference rubbish. Ooh, angry. Angry. So I want bloody Party X to win. I vote for Party X. Because of preferences, Party Y gets in. So some dickhead that I didn't even wouldn't cross the street for ends up running the show. What kind of political system is that? Yeah, that'll have to do. Again, I'll pass the 3-foot test, but it's 3 inches away from it. Fairly smooth. Just go a little bit higher up there. Damn it, I can't see. Yeah. So mix it up a bit. See if I can get one little line in there. I'm whispering so that it doesn't hear me. Yep, another load. Alright. Be happy with that. So we've learnt some things tonight. Brush looking is not a crime. We've learnt that streaming your internet through a mobile phone so that it doesn't drop out, so that you can do Twitch. Yeah, right. And I've got to play with that camera angle. So that it's up a little bit higher and down a little bit so that when I'm painting you can see what I'm doing. But that's not bad for a first or another real attempt. Actually, let's have a look at this. Let's try this out, shall we? I'll pop that stupid thing on there and put it down. That's probably a little bit better. Oops, apologies for that. Well, it's been a very exciting Saturday night. It's 10 PM or close enough. If anyone ever watches this, thank you for sitting through my rubbishy, tribey talking. And I will have to figure out a schedule so that one of us knows when I'm going to be doing this. And I will hopefully see you next time. Stop streaming. Have a good one. Bye.